Whoa. I was having a really hard time figuring out which checkbox I should check. Wake up, you're having another dream. Dad! What?
I have dibs on the TV. Na.
Pink bib or blue bib?
So every Saturday morning, we lie in bed as long as we possibly can, and then start making pancakes. So, it's either pancakes or waffles, but Joni usually helps me make pancakes. But this is part of just the come down of work, and being with my family and relaxing. And I usually never work on Saturdays, so there's at least one full day of rest. I'm the primary breadwinner. I work in consulting. So work takes up an incredible amount of time for me, but it's really sort of facilitated Eric's ability to go into his career.
I take care of the rest of the household, and I've been the primary parent to Jonah in terms of time, hours of the day, since Anne went back to work when Jonah was 4 months old. Are you done?
Are you done, Joni?
What do you say when you're done? Yes. Let me get your face and hands. I'm the middle of three. I'm very similar to my father. My parents are fantastic.
My childhood was happy, and my parents are very liberal, and so they've always been incredibly accepting of me in all of the sort of forms that I've taken in my life.
Mama is taking you to the doctor, so let's get some pants on.
So I met Eric at the University of Chicago in graduate school.
She was in a relationship, and so we became friends.
I would come up with these excuses to stay later, to make sure I could see him after class or be there more than I ever would have for a friend.
I had said to one of my really good friends, I was like, I think Anne's perfect for me. I was not going to initiate an infidelity because I had been in a relationship in which someone had cheated on me, and I'm not going to be the person who does that to someone else.
Aside from his brilliance and his sort of incisiveness, the thing that I was drawn most to him was his moral character.
I was getting ready to move back to Portland, which was my plan, and she decided to tell me how she felt.
I wanted to be with Eric. Oh my God, what am I going to do if he goes back to Portland? What a loss that will be for me.
And so she got out of that relationship and we started ours. I've always been very academically oriented, honor roll kind of student, and those things are very important to me. I set a goal for myself and then I want to accomplish it, and I don't like to just do okay. We're at UC Berkeley because I'm trying to finish my dissertation. I'm an anthropology graduate student, doctoral candidate. So I come basically every day and I write. My hope is to eventually become a teaching professor.
I started sort of being aware that I was attracted to women pretty young. It wasn't until I sort of got the education that I had in college that I really understood my sexuality in a more dynamic way. I tend to be attracted to people who lean much more on sort of the transgender, trans men side of things.
Transsexual was the first word. It came about in the 1950s as a diagnostic category, and it was really meant to describe people who change their bodies through surgery or through hormones. When I describe myself, I generally say that I'm a trans man. That's my description of myself. In terms of the specific vocabularies, I identify as transsexual rather than transgender.
Prior to going to that college, my only experience with trans-identified people were through talk shows.
When I was in college, I was identified as a queer woman, and then there was a librarian who came to campus who was the first trans man that I had ever met in real life. And he wasn't crazy, and he wasn't weird. He was a librarian, a music librarian at that. And for me, that opened the possibility of that identity as a real person. No, that's fine with me. We'll figure it out. I went to therapy a little over a year before I decided that I really wanted to do it. And I was on testosterone for just over a year by the time I had chest surgery. I never really seriously considered bottom surgery, mostly because the reason I wanted to transition was to be a man in the world. I transitioned when my nephew was 5, and I was very worried about how I could talk to him about it, what I would say. But it was a really easy thing to sit and say, my heart felt kind of sad, and one way that I could feel really a lot better was that I decided I wanted to be a boy. And so that's what I'm going to do now, and it makes me feel really good. And he was like, great. You know, feeling good is good.
I struggled a lot when Eric and I first started dating with losing my visibility as a queer-identified woman because I wasn't signified. We pass freely on the street, which brings with it such huge privileges because we don't have to worry about being harassed. But we also have to come out every time we want to tell our story.
I think to read my transition as a means of accessing privilege would be very flat and reductive because I gave up a lot to get that, and that's not what it was about.
Some sparkly...
My dad always used to say when I was a kid, your unique self can be measured against no other standard, right? That's who you are. Be that person. This is the only one of me there is. I'm not the wrong version of it.
We talked a lot about wanting to have families and children. So we both knew that that was very much on the table for the other person. Originally, I wanted the donor to be someone we knew. But then we sort of realized that it wasn't going to work for us.
We were having some conversation and we're like, so let's put ourselves 10 years down the line, right? Like, what's our relationship with this guy? What are we going to do? You know, what might it look like in an actual basis? And Anne's like, well, I don't know. Like, every now and again, he'd come over and I'd make a pie and, you know, we'd have it, like, just sit and... I can't tell you, but that's what totally put me over the edge. I was like, you will not make pie. That's it. We are buying sperm from an anonymous donor. Anne's labor was great. I think that experience made me appreciate and respect her more than I did already in a way that I could not have anticipated because she seemed to have a capacity to be there that I was totally amazed by.
My person. I love that word because I feel like it connects me to Eric as who he is and all that he is, exactly who he is, and isn't gendered, it's not loaded, it doesn't feel limiting. It just warms my heart a bit to say it that way.
Anne is the person who I call when I'm most excited about something. She's the one I call when I need help with something. Like, she's the person who blank, and most everything goes in the blank, right?
I feel fortunate to be a part of a queer community. These are the lives that we want, and these are the friends we want to have, and these are the relationships that we need. And we create it deliberately. There are lots of trans people in the world. You don't see them because no one's talking about us yet. As a queer person and in our community, it's common. No one's saying, you trans people can't have this life. They're only saying it insofar as they don't talk about us, that we don't exist in the media, that we're absent from every conversation.
When she gets older, then there will need to be explanations provided for those questions. But right now, she has a mom and a dad. She has aunts and uncles. The shape of our bodies is really inconsequential to that. Everybody's got weird parents that are weird for some reason. So this is our reason. Explaining us as parents who love each other and who love our child is not a problem.
Hey. Good work. You want to go again?
She wants a balloon.
Oh, you want a balloon?
One of the reasons that I like to be so upfront and positive about my story, our story, is that I don't feel sad about it. You look like a nice ghost.
You do look like a nice ghost.
What do you say?
The feeling that I want to have in 40 years is the feeling that we have now, which is a light engagement. It's easy to wake up to have pancakes with you in the morning and to walk to the farmer's market and have a child and raise Jonah. When it's right, it's effortless. The desire to do it is so much greater than the challenge of doing it.
No, you hit a storm. There's a storm.
I want that sort of sweet simplicity. I want to make pies for you in 40 years.
I'll see.
There it is.
I'll be the guy with the pie.
You get the pie.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right, superhero. Where you going now?
Oh, to Mama.
Okay, ready?
Go to Mama.
I'll go!
Let's see.